Hey guys, this is AwesomeJohn22 coming at you today with another review. First of all, I want to say this review was originally supposed to be the follow-up review to the Iron Man 3 Assemblers toy line that I promised months ago, but I'm having trouble finding my Assemblers limbs, so I apologize. That review will have to be put off just a little bit longer, if it ever comes at all at this point, as that toy line is quite old. But no, I promised it, so I'll get around to it eventually. Today we are looking at this, the Power Rangers Wild Force Red Lion Zord from the Power Rangers Super Megaforce toy line. And again, he comes with his own little Ranger key, who is the Red Ranger from the Wild Force series, which I did really enjoy. I really enjoyed Wild Force. I like the idea of the Zords being alive. That was cool. Does turn into a key just like all the rest of them. And it does have a key gimmick. You can insert the key here, and provided you put it in the right way, you can have a missile in his mouth and it'll fire the missile, but literally 10 minutes after owning the figure, I've already lost the missiles, so, you know, I'm not a huge fan of missiles anyway. Anyone who watches my reviews knows I'm not a huge fan of missile gimmicks anyway. It does have a bit of a gimmick here, because this Zord is not just the Wild Force Red Zord, is also the Samurai Red Zord. So it does have a gimmick of turning into Samurai mode, which is actually pretty nifty. I'm just not a huge fan of Power Rangers Samurai. I thought it could have been a lot better, and I thought bringing back Bulk as a character after so many years just screamed of desperation. But I always loved the aesthetic of it, and I did watch several episodes of the Japanese series before they were all taken off YouTube. But yeah, really though, I prefer the Wild Force Lion mode. I think it looks better, and Wild Force Red Lion is one of my favorite Zords of all time, which is a shame because it's one of the many Zords that I don't actually own. And I do want to point out, I forgot a bit of something in my previous review. The other two guys did come with these, which were not this heavily painted. The belts and the guards on their wrists and ankles and stuff I painted myself, and the details on their weapons. They're not posable. They are only here because they can stand on the Zords. This guy, thankfully, does not come with one. They're stupid. They didn't need to be there. And I'm glad that they didn't put one with this guy, because he already costs like $34, and including just that one extra little bit of plastic could have brought the cost up, and I wouldn't have wanted that. He does have two modes, two ways of combining with the legendary Megazord, who we still have hanging out over here. Both of them require that you rip, after I fix my camera, that you rip the legs off of the legendary Megazord. First of all is a mode that is reminiscent of Wild Force and is used for speed on the show. You plug the legendary Megazord's leg ports into Red Lion, and you have the legendary Centaur Megazord. And it's cool, but it takes up a lot of room on the shelf. So, quite frankly, I prefer the second mode, which is the Samurai mode. Remove the Red Lion, and we're going to leave legendary Megazord's legs off, because again, this does also require his legs to be off. We're going to remove this piece from his back, and we're going to come here and remove this entire assembly. And we're going to come up front, separate this piece, which is the Red Ranger's giant sword from Samurai, if you can't tell. And then come here, and we're just going to kind of wriggle these front legs away. And you may have noticed as we were taking everything apart that there are the Power Rangers Samurai symbols on several of these pieces. What they did here is they took the unfolding origami idea from Power Rangers Samurai, and they utilized it across series to make this Megazord, which is the legendary Samurai Megazord, and I really like it. It's very cool. And showing off the transformation, which is, like the others, quite simple, but still the most involved of the bunch. You can see when all things are said and done, we end up with something that is aesthetically very, very reminiscent of Power Rangers Samurai, and that's nice. And this is not going to go on now that I've said how easy the transformation is, which is very nice, because like I said, while I wasn't a huge fan, go on there, Jesus. While I wasn't a huge fan of Power Rangers Samurai as a series, I did enjoy it aesthetically. I thought the unfolding origami Zord gimmick was actually really cool. And that might actually be one of the reasons why I didn't like the toy line here in America, because they didn't include that and it was stupid. But here we have the legendary Samurai Megazord, and it does kind of leave these guys out in the dust, and it does kind of restrict articulation in the arms. But it's fine. Sentai toys aren't known for articulation anyway. And it does do some other really cool stuff, like, for example, removing the swords. You can attach them, if I can remember how to do this, to this bit here, like so. And now he can, turn this the right way. There we go. Now he can hold both swords in one hand, which does allow you to give him his giant sword, which is fine, but the handle is soft, rubbery plastic, and while it looks epic, it will eventually start to collapse, and it will bend that plastic pretty much forever. So that is an awful sound. I am so sorry. No, but you should really only leave this in there if you're actually playing with the toy at the time. Otherwise, I just kind of, you know, stand it next to the guy, you know. It's pretty cool. Now, if you are really hung up on the loss of arm articulation, of course, there are ways to get around that. You can remove these and replace them here on the sides, which is a little less cumbersome and a little less screen accurate, but I don't mind it. And in fact, that's usually how I display this, if I display it at all, because it not only frees up articulation, but it prevents me from having to fold this back further than it's actually intended to go, just to fit it on there. So, taking a look at how it looks with them on the sides, I think it looks perfectly fine. Yeah, it still looks all samurai-esque. Like I said, it leaves yellow and pink high and dry, but it's cool enough that it makes up for it. So now that I've got my camera straight and have stopped fiddling with it with all ADD style, let's take a look at the details on this guy. You can see the yellow symbol, the blue and green symbols down there, along with some really cool molded detail, as well as a couple of molded in connection ports, which I don't know what those are for. The only thing I can think of is maybe like fan combinations. You can see we've got Pink's symbol up there on that shoulder, and red symbol down there on the lion's mane, down the lower part of his mane, which in the Japanese version of the toy you would insert the key into the back of here, and it would open his mouth and the symbol would be on the inside of his mouth. But because we have the stupid missile gimmick on the American toy, because we have the stupid missile gimmick on the American toy, we can't do that, because, you know, missile gimmicks. I hate missile gimmicks, guys. I really do. But quite frankly, I think he looked kind of derpy with his mouth hanging open, so maybe this is a blessing in disguise, because now his mouth isn't all hanging open derpily. I do want to point out real quick, zooming in a little bit more, that I really love the new helmet that comes with this guy. It is effectively Samurai Sentai Shinkenger's Shinkeno helmet, and I absolutely love it. I think it looks fantastic. Like I said, I loved the Shinkenger / Samurai aesthetic, and that carries the aesthetic over perfectly while still looking like it belongs with the rest of the figure. So, like I said in my last Power Rangers review of the other two smaller accessory Zords that I own. If you're only going to get one accessory Zord, get this one. He costs about double what the other ones do, but he is so worth it. He has so much bulk. He looks so cool. He has 2 modes. He actually has a proper combination with the Megazord, like actually replacing limbs and adding weapons and stuff. And he looks fantastic. I cannot recommend this thing anymore, especially for a modern day Power Rangers toy. It is very, very good. Real quick detail look of his giant basher sword. You can see some fantastic molded detail there. Nice gold paint. And for the first time ever, I did not have to paint a single thing on this thing to bring out any additional details. I feel that it accentuates just as many details as it needs to. And yeah, I think anyone with even a passing interest in this series or an interest in Power Rangers in general should pick this thing up. It's pretty awesome. And with that, we're going to wrap up this review. I'm actually trying to cut down on my review times a little bit. If anyone, actually does watch these, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of shorter run times versus longer run times. So yeah, like, subscribe, as I said, leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. In the description down below, there's a link to my blog as well as to my collections video. Check out the latter. If you see anything in that collections video that you would like me to review, let me know and I'll see what I can do about it. This has been AwesomeJohn22, and I will talk to you guys later, hopefully with a review of the Iron Man Assemblers toys. But no promises.